Have you ever heard of Blessed James of Ulm? Like his contemporary, Blessed Fra Angelico, he was a Dominican friar who produced beautiful works of art. But while Fra Angelico created his masterpieces with a paintbrush, Blessed James created his with stained glass. And while Fra Angelico was a priest, Blessed James was a brother, but not a priest. James Grisinger was born in Ulm, Swabia, which is in modern-day Germany, in 1407. As a young man, he studied mechanics, and also learned his father's trade of making stained glass. Raised in a pious family, James asked to make a pilgrimage to Rome in his early 20s to see the holy sites. He received his father's blessing, and after a long journey, arrived in Rome as Lent began. Unfortunately, when it was time to return home, James had run out of money. To raise the funds for his return journey, he enlisted with the army of Alphonsus II in Sicily. Shocked by the corrupt morals and practices of his fellow soldiers, James left their company and devoted himself to prayer. Eventually, he made enough money to begin his journey home. Along the way home, he made a stop in Bologna. Legend has it that while praying at the tomb of St. Dominic, an inner voice made known his vocation. The Lord was calling him to religious life as a Dominican friar. James sought out the prior, the superior, at the convent of San Domenico to ask his advice. After their conversation, James asked to be admitted as a conversus, what today we refer to as a cooperator brother. Shortly after receiving the habit, Brother James was directed by his superior to resume practicing his father's trade of making stained glass. In obedience to his superior, he began making stained glass windows for the churches and convents in the city. And among his favorite themes were the Crucifixion, Our Blessed Mother, and St. Dominic. From the day he entered the Dominicans until his death 50 years later, James resolved to keep the rule and constitutions of the order. By doing this, he grew in every Christian virtue, particularly humility, charity, and especially obedience. At one point, when he had a particularly large and elaborate window of the Blessed Mother firing in the furnace to fix the colors, the prior told him to go out begging for that evening's dinner. In obedience, James went out immediately to beg for bread. He assumed the window he had been working on would be reduced to ashes by the time he returned. But when he arrived home, instead of being destroyed, he was surprised to find that the glass was more beautiful than he could have ever imagined. On another occasion, Bishop Michael of Holland had been visiting the friars in Bologna and wanted to test James with a little bit of a prank. So he told James that he needed to take a letter to the master of the order, who was in Paris at the time. The journey would have taken at least 3 weeks. James immediately knelt down to ask for the letter and a blessing. His only request was to return to his cell to get a walking stick so that he could begin the trek right away. This willingness astonished the bishop, but not the brothers who knew James well. Always contemplating the sufferings of Christ on the cross, James was moved by the suffering of others, especially the sick, and he did his best to care for their needs in the infirmary. 11 of the miracles put forth for his cause were healings of those in need. James died in 1491, a great loss to the friars, the people of Bologna, and the art of stained glass. He was beatified in 1825, and is known as Blessed James of Ulm.